I just wanted to meet Tom. That's all. You I've met before.
Yes, you have. How was lunch? Who went to lunch? Very nice.
Everybody went to lunch except Tom.
I was on a bus with no reception, so traveling around, Santa Clara and San Jose.
What do you mean you're impressed?
Well, yeah, I figured, certainly if it were me and I knew that I wasn't operating for a couple of months, everything would be a
It's a class act. It's not a McGee act. It's a Fortin act.
Displaying. That's a piece that came from actually somebody else's layout that I think Rick did a lot of work on. That's ultimately going to be in a third layer.
I was just going to say, is there a really big helix I'm not seeing?
Right. There is. It's right there.
There sure is, isn't there? That gets down to here.
So Rick, I see you
And it's not really used for anything at the moment. The purpose is that ultimately when it's done, this will allow you to recycle from the top down to what we call valley staging here, which is the lower level.
Okay. Yeah.
My goodness.
Although Rick has since come up with a scheme to add some more staging outside of the building, so we'll see how that works.
So the next question becomes, if it's incandescent down low,
We'll just give you a little bit of perspective. I just came from Ted Stevens' layout, which is the largest layout I've ever seen.
You're kidding.
Well, I've never been on a layout tour before, so this is all very new to me.
Oh, well, okay.
Very exciting.
Ted's is a kind of moderate-sized layout. This is a large layout for
I would call this a large one.
This is medium layout for the Midwest.
Eventually we'll do something better here.
But for California, this is a good-sized layout. So this lower level, trains come out of staging, which represents kind of the Central Valley, and they're coming into Chico, which is up in the valley north of Sacramento, where the main yard is. And this whole area in here is Chico. So this is Orchard Yard, which is the new yard, the main yard, and it's got an 8-truck bowl or classification yard, and 4 arrival departure tracks, and then the 2-track main line, double-track main line through the back of the scene. Coming out to this side is what we call Old Chico, where there's an engine service facility, and that's where we pull the power from to run our trains that we're building. And there's an old shops which we imagine has been leased out to a rail car rebuilding company. So one of the yard jobs is concerned with feeding so that they work and they drag cars over and bring them back and so forth.
Yeah, that's kind of a kit bash.
And we'll put a certain number of bad orders in the cars in the yard so that as the yard crew is working, they find these little presents and have to go sort them out.
well, that's the fun part.
Yeah. Then as trains leave the yard, they go out through this town of Sambone, and there's a major local that works this during the session.
Little industries over here.
Oh yeah, and some on the side. If you look over, you can see they're kind of represented
Right.
by these.
The eternal problem for an exhibition layout is that you have a building which is effectively standing between you and the trains, and that is great.
Yeah, and what's great is that you get this sort of interrupted view of the trains, which makes the run seem longer, and for switching it's kind of fun. In fact, on some of them there's little tricks that you have to kind of get around and
Was that by original design or hard won series after the first office?
So there's a lot of thought into this sort of thing. In fact, all these, Rick figured out that the height of a person's shoulder minus their arm is fairly constant, and that determined the height of these little switch portals that you stick the finger in. So you don't buy it. Where's Ruby anyway? Yeah, have you seen her?
Okay, so the switch is at the bottom of the...
Yeah, right. And you pull it, and basically what it does is the direction of the points is the direction of your finger.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not the direction you want the train to go, it's the direction of the points. So but the feedback is much more intuitive this way. And a whole bunch of us have adopted this system because it's so cool and obvious.
Yeah, it's easy for even the person who's uninitiated to come in and figure it out.
The operationally challenged.
Well, what you would do up here, you do down here.
Correct.
That's very interesting.
Some
You
people
know, it's also
they
good to get some
pay
additional
attention to what
depth.
is
There's just a
normal and what
photo
is
of the
reverse.
inside
So the
of
railroad
your
would
house.
call one direction
And
normal.
that way you
direction
kind of
reverse.
see into the
The
flats.
normal
and
isn't
get
always
some
the straight track.
illusions
Sometimes
and
it's normal
whatever.
curved track, depending on your own rules. But that's confusing for people who aren't
I'm
familiar
seeing
with this
yellow
specific
sleeper
prototype.
ends. I take it this is
Clearance
point?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a it's a convention the railroad uses, but a bunch of us use it. Well, originally I did some hand spiking, and when you get to my layout, you'll see about half of it is hand laid, and I learned a little bit from Rick. I'm not nearly that good, and in a number of places, I had to ask Rick to come in and kind of help me out and straighten it out. But it certainly looks great. It just took a long time, and at some point I just said, "Hey, I want to get running," because I'm primarily an operator, and we did that.
Well, the 18 inches that I spiked I just used the
Yeah,
18-inch rail, and I laid my ties down, and I put a few spikes to hold it, and I went through and I filled in all the remaining spikes. So I spike every tie.
Oh, wow.
Just because to me it doesn't look right if I don't.
Well, you're right. I mean, that
Because if
is
you
a
look
problem.
close, it's like, what's holding the rail down?
There's no spikes and there's no tie plates.
And that was what I mentioned
Yeah.
on the mailing list, and I think it was Matt Goodman said, you spike every single tie? And it's like, well, isn't that the way it's usually done in the prototype? And he's like,
But we all do chapter 6, yes.
but the thing is that I discovered that what was beautifully straight rail with just a few spikes, once I started spiking them in, suddenly I'm shoving it out of, and then, but I look down it, and it has an old Los Angeles, because I mean, where I grew up, you'd look at old rails, and they were a little wobbly.
Oh, they sure were.
And so I thought, well, because at first I thought, oh no, I'm running it out. So I got my gauges out, and I'm running the wheels, and I think I'm still within tolerances, but it's definitely tricky. And when I was done, I realized, it's like, real track isn't perfect.
Oh, it's certain, especially industrial track, yeah.
Yeah, and I would just love the idea of an engine that would just have the slightest little bit of a bobble to it. So it was the best of all possible worlds in that sense.
And, if you're doing, one benefit of a small layout, of a micro layout, or even a full-size shelf layout,
Yeah.
15 or 20 feet is, you can take the time to do that.
Right. That's the whole focus, yeah. So for end scale, it's like I'd rather set up the Cato track and get it running, and then work on my buildings and work on the whole outfit. Whereas a small scene in HO, it's like, that's where I can really go for the detail and do the spiking. I know, this is so Los
This is
Angeles.
brilliant. Well, it's Sacramento Valley, right?
Yeah.
And you look here and it's like, oh, Red Bluff, Sacramento. Ah, okay. Los Angeles, and you look at those. It sets you in the right place, and you just got a nice 3-track bridge, so it actually looks legit. He went crazy finding the specs for the signs and stuff, and
You gotta be dead on.
yeah, so they're correct. It's really cool. So we're coming up on 2, and we ought to be thinking about leaving in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, that's what actually makes it fun, right? Is that because it's not scripted, you never know what
It's you again. Yes, thank you. You keep turning up like a bad penny.
Of your program are very similar to the DCC ledge.
Yeah,
Somebody throws out, Digitrack sucks, and man, feeding time at the zoo.
But there are never even two techniques to any one question.
Right.
That's the thing that strikes me.
There's a couple of Digitrax apologists around. I mean, you know,
Well,
Chuck's
yeah.
Chuck and Chuck.
Federal law requires minority input.
yeah, exactly.
Gee, I don't know. It seems to work.
You know,
Well, I told you I picked Digitrax. Between NC and Digitrax, it finally came down to one thing, which was the Logic Rail clocks.
yeah, okay.
Right? Which now they have for NCE.
Yeah.
But when I committed the Digitrax, you know, the one you
Oh,
got,
that's right. Yeah,
they didn't. They
You're
only
a
had.
Digitroid also.
Yes, I'm a Digitroid as well. Because I decided I liked those clocks. They were only
They
local
are
net.
very cool.
They're very nice. They're only LocoNet. They were only LocoNet supported. So I said that threw the switch for me, and I ended up with
So I
Digitrax.
remember hearing your interview with Tucker.
Well,
Sorry,
I look at it
you
as
guys
Ford versus
And
Yeah.
preference, right?
It is.
Yeah.
and you're into
Either
the
one,
high
I would
rev
prefer.
where you want lots of torque. So
Among other things, for working on an HO scale micro layout,
Right.
which is going to be very detail oriented about the scenery, about spiking the individual ties and all that sort of thing.
Something I thought
Scale,
lunch.
which is going to
Because I remember
be
yelling at you, not really.
Cato Unitrack.
Yeah, we-
and
Same.
Sorry, what did you guys to
a few short
hold you down
modular
so you
sections
could
like
wheel?
Is your
Switching
and
layout.
Seth and I were talking about this. Is
So that will
you're
be
busy
focusing
talking
more on
about
operations.
Okay.
So
have
as
you
an
been in
alternative.
Not on the scale of car
And I'm
radio,
saying
that's definitely what I want to do. I just
all
love
the
that
issues
idea.
that you're
So
talking
I can
about have
create
nothing to
something
do really
switch
with the
in.
physical layer, whether it's